Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show brought to you by Holo Crunch Popcorn. So I grew up screaming up NEPA whenever a power supply was restored. Over 30 years later, I still celebrate when power supply is restored. Unfortunately, with a whole lot of investment, a bit of privatization, Nigerians are still suffering from unstable power supply. When you add that to the fuel scarcity and the inflation, one wonders how Nigerians are surviving and how businesses are coping. Having this conversation with us,
We have Sylvester Afolabi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me this
And
morning.
Wonu Sani. Welcome to the show. Good
Thank
morning.
you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonu, 2 years ago, or was it a year ago, we had you
Yeah,
on
last
this
year.
show having the same conversation. Inflation had increased by about 1%. Power supply was a problem. Businesses, especially people like you in the food and beverage sector, most of them were shutting down.
Yes.
What has changed?
Nothing. Things have gotten worse in regards to our last discussion. So inflation right now is weekly. The increase is weekly, which is, it sounds crazy, but that's what it is. So now adding the lack of power to what we're already facing, there are no words for what is going on presently, because first, even if you're not using diesel powered generators, you're using petrol. There's no way you can run a business with maybe just 2 hours of electricity a day, especially when most of your equipment are powered by, you need power for them. Deep fryers, like for me, we have our deep fryers, we have our deep freezers, etc. So how do you look at, okay, inflation is already cutting into our profits, and then whatever little we have left, we're using it to power generators, we're using it to power basically everything. So right now is that any business that can survive till the end of this year, you need an award.
I noticed that even customer behavior has changed. And so, for instance, I love to cook, but a week ago I went to the market and I found out that half basket of tomatoes was about 2,000 naira.
Yes.
Which in the past you could get that about
And we're in the
1.5
north.
for a full basket. Exactly.
Yes.
And I can't even imagine what it is in Lagos. And it made me think twice if maybe getting food outside was now cheaper than even cooking for myself.
Yes, thinking of the wear and tear that you go through, thinking of how you're cooking maybe at night and then your light goes off, thinking of putting everything together basically. I mean, it is more cost effective to eat out, which has never happened. It's unheard of. Normally people will say, oh, if I buy
Yeah.
a basket of tomatoes, it should last me for a week. A family of 4, you can make stew, you can make soup. That's not what is happening presently.
Yeah, because the ingredients, every other thing has increased as well.
Everything, up to salt, up to oil. Oil is even the worst. Even palm oil that we say, okay, we make here, we don't import. So how do you reconcile that as an individual? Now think of moving that, you're talking about just your home, maybe just you or your small family. Think of doing that on a larger scale. How? Do you increase your prices weekly? Do you explain to customers why they can't get the quality of food they were getting? You can't do that. So basically now businesses are just stuck, hoping for, I don't know what we're hoping for.
For a miracle.
I really don't know. Hoping for something to change, just something. Like recently I had to maybe take one of my shops off the generator because it serviced more of the generator because the costs were getting too much. We had to now go, even the gas we're now using instead of electricity has gone up.
I heard that 1 kg of gas is now about 1,000 naira.
Yes.
So when you multiply that,
Writing on what you just said,
Yeah.
so if this poor power supply situation persists, would you say it could cause closure of small businesses, particularly before the end of the year?
It has already. People have closed their businesses. Talking about my mall in Wuse too, I know about 2 shops that have closed down between January and now. So the shops that are left are, okay, you know what, we're going to add maybe some other things, maybe outdoor catering, something else to boost what you are making from the store. So now, we're not saying sales are not coming in. The sales are coming in. Maybe sales are even more now because, I mean, like what Andy said, people are thinking of eating out more. But you use all that money to pay for and pay extra.
For the running costs.
Yes, for your running costs. So how it's not sustainable. It's really not sustainable. So yes, that will happen. Even the big brands, even the big names, it will happen.
Sylvester, could you share with us what exactly do you feel could be the cause of this issue, from the poor power supply to the fuel situation to the hike in diesel prices? Could you speak to us on that?
Well, bad leadership. I start from there because everything starts from leadership. Nigeria electricity grid has fallen 21 times this year alone. 21 times. It's never happened in the history of Nigeria. So in a year where political parties are seeking aspirants to come in, and then someone told me that the Minister of Power is not interested in politics. I said he is generating more money for parties and politics more than even individuals who were able to cough those monies out of their ministries. If a grid has fallen for that long, 83 million Nigerians don't have access to grid electricity. Now, this is representing 43% of our population. 43% of our population. Now, the state of power has been epileptic, as it has not grown better. It has, just like you said, thrown many businesses out, and those who are surviving right now are left with no option than to increase their cost of cost of production increase, which means cost of sales will apparently also increase. So this has affected, as a matter of fact, it has also cost the nation about 10.1 trillion estimated loss, representing 2% of our GDP. So that means that if there was stable power supply, we will be retaining about that amount as contributing to our GDP as a nation. World Bank ranks Nigeria as 171 out of 190 nations with energy deficit, which means that Nigeria is ranking 171 most risky place to do business in the world. Out of 190 countries of the world. All right. Now, we say there is no power, there is no light. Okay, so we have alternative sources. PMS, natural gas, which is currently scarce. After spending my entire destiny in a filling station 2 days ago, I was left with no option than to drive to another filling station that sells at 230 naira per liter. I have been in business since 2016. It got to a time I wasn't sure whether we were making profit or we're making losses, because the expense book was like increasing, was higher than the income book. So it wasn't something we were quite comfortable with. Now, the state we have right now demands urgent attention. Urgent attention. A person I watched on the TV said it is the grid. It's not the Nigerian grid has become jumping jack. So it's falling and rising and falling and rising. And somebody came and said it is the feeder. You know, as a human being, when you don't feed yourself, after some time your eye will start turning. I said that is where the Nigerian electricity has brought us right now. It is quite challenging, and immediate attention has to be given. The World Bank approved about $500 million for metering, that is the prepaid meter distribution, and we can barely tell where that money is as we speak. We can barely tell because that impact is not felt right now. So in Nigeria, you find, just like you said, we have up NEPA. So we don't know whether there is ADC, we still call it NEPA. So a NEPA official comes to cut your cable from the high tension, the cable that has never given you light. And I pity individuals with estimated bill who pay for darkness, because that's what they are giving bill for. All right. In my office, we got a prepaid meter about 6 months ago, and last month or so, a NEPA official came with a lot of estimated bill. I said, sorry, we use prepaid meter here. He said, no, we were owing before, so they want to program that into the said, if you don't move from here right now, Nigeria will do you if you don't move from here. So this is the challenge we have right now. So a lot of people have been frustrated out of business. 5 naira has no value anymore. Not even a sweet, not even chewing gum. You can't even buy that for 5 naira. So a lot of things are increasing. You don't have gala or 50 naira anymore. If you want to eat, you have to check your pocket and check your pocket again. As a matter of fact, 3 square meal is danger for your resources. That's as hard as it has become. So it's really important that the nation, the leaders, look inward. And as a matter of fact, alternative powers has to come in right now. This old power supply has to be entirely privatized and decentralized up to street levels. Individuals must be allowed to generate power and supply 3, 4, 5 homes. Then that way, the government should completely take a hand off power or anything that has to do with supply of power. Because if, like you said, 30 years ago, you could scream up NEPA, and 30 years after, we are still where we are, then we need to go into total privatization so that if I can supply 10 homes within my area, power, I should be able to get a location, get that fixed, and supply those individuals who are sure, regardless the cost. Because if the power is stable, the problem we are having right now is that there is unstable power supply, and businesses who are depending on that cannot even survive, even on alternative sources. Okay, so if I'm able to give you stable supply within my vicinity, then the government should embrace those opportunities when it comes.
So, Sylvester, you spoke about privatization, and I know for a fact that about 2014, thereabouts, the distribution companies were largely privatized. And after that, they still complained about funding. Now, in the last 2 years, I remember on this show, we had the conversation where electricity tariff was increased by about 20 to 40%. By global standards, the likes of the World Bank that you've quoted and other organizations have stated that Nigerians, what we pay for electricity is too little. And so because of that, the electricity infrastructure doesn't have enough funding. However, like we stated, they've increased the tariff of electricity and there's no major change. Why do you feel privatization, which most likely would be giving to cronies of people in high places, why do you think that would make any difference?
Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to address this from your last statement. People in government or individuals will still be given this opportunity. That's where we have the problem. Okay, so if as individuals, I have an idea on how to generate power within an environment, and I approach the government, and that is giving a consideration. One, this will be having nothing to do with whoever is in government or is in those offices who would want to influence my idea. Okay, that's number one. Secondly, you spoke about the electricity tariff increasing and all of that. We are not on a full privatization in this country. It's partial private. That means the government is still involved in the power supply. That's why I'm saying entire privatization. Let individuals come in and invest in power on their own. Let's even conclude there is no government to do that right now, because we celebrate darkness here. That's our point. So there's no. I was at the bank 3 days ago by 3 p.m. and they told me they are closed. You close the bank 3 p.m. What had happened? So there's no diesel to run. Okay. So the point is, if we are able to get these individuals entirely to generate this power, let the government get its eyes up. Okay, we are paying taxes in this country, all right? So I believe that they are faithful taxpayers in this country. And tax payments should be channeled into infrastructural development, power, and all of that. But unfortunately, taxes are used to pay tax staff, right? This will be a talk for another day, because they're like the highest pay. So I pay my tax, they use the staff, my tax, to pay their salary. And so there's no impact of the tax that I've paid, all right, as a business owner on my business, because that is the essence of tax payment, right? So if all of those things are not available for the average Nigerian in business doing SMEs, then we are going to be out of business in no time.
Well, your stance on privatization is okay, it's good, but the Minister of Power actually, like you mentioned earlier, he actually stated that there aren't enough power generating plants in the country, which is the cause of the poor power supply. Now, for those who don't know, Nigeria has 23 power generating plants that's connected to the national grid. So, do you think him saying this now, could it be an excuse, or could it actually be a solution to it instead of, moving to privatization?
All right. Right now, Nigeria is the largest economy, but Ghana is the fastest growing economy in Africa. Nigeria supplied most neighboring countries power, and these countries are celebrating uninterrupted power supply from our watts, from our megawatts. All right. Okay. So, so if a minister of power, in all sincerity, could come out to say that we don't have enough watts to give every Nigerian stable supply, then what are we doing giving power to other countries within us? Where was that generated from? Okay, so I don't believe that we don't have sufficient power or for sufficient watts to supply every Nigerian stable power in this country. All we are doing right now is to trade with our resources. The governments are trading with our resources and leaving the Nigerians to suffer for what we actually own.
Well, I want to bring you back in. I know you offline, so I know you've been in business for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And so kudos to you for standing and seeing through the times.
Thank you.
But for other people in the food and beverage sector, how do you survive? So does quality reduce or quantity reduce, or does pricing increase?
Now, I spoke about this yesterday with a friend. You can't reduce quality significantly. Let me use, I'm not going to mention names, a very popular food brand that prides itself in selling very cheap, accessible food. I'm sure we all know who I'm talking about. They changed from, I think, chicken to egg or something.
Yeah.
They made an option. Did you see the outrage?
Yes.
Yes.
So you can't do that. Now, it's not advisable from my own perspective, because people are already used to. Now, Nigerians are always in denial. No offense. We know what is going on. If you maybe change the type of fries you're using, everybody will notice, and they're like, oh, this has changed in Talkshop. Oh, Talkshop no longer uses the thin cut fries. They now use this. Oh, nobody is going to say it's because things are now expensive, so we're looking for an alternative. Nobody's going to say that. First, there will be an outrage. There will be a few people that understand, but you don't want that. You don't want that kind of publicity in your business. So I would rather increase the price and keep the few customers that can still afford it. Now, this might not be good for business in the long run, but with the way things are going, it is really not an option for me to reduce the quality of my food. Now, going to the market to buy maybe oil, the good oil is 35,000, the not so good oil is 30,000. Do I want to risk 5,000? Do you get what I'm saying? You go there, it changes the taste of what you're cooking, and then you lose customers. There are always options. So for me, cut your costs where you can. E.g., maybe the hours you power the generators, like he said. There are other ways somehow. Well, Nigerians, I know we pride ourselves on resilience, but this is where you show that power. You find other ways to cut costs, but never reduce the quality of your food. Never ever.
So just to put it out there, because I love food, obviously, and everyone who watches this show knows that, Wonu has this business called Talk Shop, and they have this platter where you get, I think, a hot dog, a burger, chicken,
Beans and fries, yeah.
and it is absolutely amazing. So just letting you know, send my 10%, but it's absolutely amazing. I want to thank you for your contribution. And I think you have the last question for
Yes,
Sylvester.
for Sylvester. So what exactly could be done to help the situation? Because lots of people are moving to alternative methods, alternative power supply, such as solar, for example. Are Nigerians ready for that? Because we're used to managing as Nigerians or adjusting, or adjusting to certain situations. We're used to doing that. So now most people are moving to solar because fuel now is gold in Nigeria. So what could be done?
All right. Now that we are where we are, so what we should look out for now is a solution. Well, I would.
And it's okay not to have a solution at this point because you're not government.
Exactly. well, we are offering. Yes. Truth is, quality of products have actually reduced because we are the consumers, and the price has increased. Right. Well, it's a time where even a bottle water, you can hardly bend that bottle, but right now, even as you're drinking it, the bottle is bending already on its own. All right. Now, having said that, I would still say that there's a way out, and that way is that individuals should be empowered. All right, when agriculture came with the program of getting and ensuring that we do diversification to agriculture, what we did was to have cooperatives. Cooperatives came up and they went to the Ministry of Agriculture to say that, okay, so we are cooperatives, we have this program for agriculture, we want to ensure that we promote agriculture. And they were funded, all right? So these individuals got farms and all of that. So we can actually do the same thing for power, all right? So let individuals who have these winning ideas, come together, have their business plan. The government can set up a pitching program, all right? Pitch power business, pitch power ideas, all right? Let this go through the scrutiny process, all right? And the moment that is done, the winning team should be empowered. And once they are empowered, location, they should be assigned to locations, they should be assigned to sections, they should be assigned to local governments, and be saddled with the responsibility of ensuring stable power supply within those locations. Now, this may definitely increase the tariff, but if I am paying for what I am seeing, then I don't have a problem with that. Mine is, as I will always advocate, we should get people responsible for ensuring there's availability of power within this.
I think that's a great place to live. Where can we find your business online?
At Talk Shop, at Talk_shop_Nigeria.
Okay, I need to put another next week. And to our viewers at home, there you have it. And to government, it's still the responsibility of government to provide the basic necessities for Nigerians to survive and thrive. Don't go away. We have more on the Weekend Show after this break.